Every month, 1.5 billion toothpaste tubes are thrown away in the waste. That's 18 billion tubes a year, by the way, most of which can't be recycled because they're made of mixed plastics and foils. So they end up in landfills, in incinerators, or worse, in our oceans and waterways. And yet, where is the outcry? Why aren't we talking about this? In the beauty and personal care industry, we've made a huge fuss about plastic packaging in skincare, or refillable makeup, or zero-waste hair care. But somehow, oral care has managed to escape the same level of scrutiny. Toothpaste tubes are one of the most wasteful forms of packaging on the planet, and yet the big brands, the ones dominating supermarket shelves, they're not changing. And that's because they don't have to. So let's talk about that in today's podcast. Hi, it's Lorraine Dahlmeyer, chartered environmentalist, biologist, and CEO of the award-winning online organic cosmetic formulation school, Formula Botanica. I host the Green Beauty Conversations podcast, and these are my Green Beauty opinions, where I share my takeaways from last week's episode and challenge you to think differently about the beauty industry. If you love hearing my thoughts on green beauty, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. So let's face it, we've seen this pattern before. Big beauty doesn't lead on the innovation that completely changes the industry. Instead, it waits. Think about it. Solid shampoo bars? That was indie brands like Lush and Effik before any big player got involved. Refillable deodorants? Pioneered by small sustainability-focused brands. Plastic-free skincare packaging? Same story again. Small brands led, big beauty followed. All of these shifts were led by independent or indie brands, not by the industry giants. So these small mission-driven brands took the risks, they proved the concept, and only then, when consumer demand was undeniable, did the big players swoop in. Now, big beauty does undertake innovation, of course they do, and the innovation that they do invest in tends to be around ingredients, applicators, technology, science. They research new anti-aging formulas, faster absorbing serums, improved or more, environmentally friendly product textures, all of which are important and fascinating, but ultimately are there designed to sell more products, not to change consumer habits. That's where the indie players come in. And we can see exactly the same thing happening again with toothpaste tablets. So last week here on the podcast, I interviewed Axel Kaiser of Dentabs, who invented the toothpaste tablet. And Dentabs has been around for 20 years, offering a simple, effective, and sustainable alternative to traditional toothpaste. So no water, no fillers, no plastic tube. But for most people, it's still a niche concept. Why is that? It's because the big players aren't driving the conversation. They're not trying to change our habits, and they won't until they're forced to. The problem is, toothpaste tubes are cheap to produce and they're easy to sell. They're what consumers expect. They're what we expect when we go to the supermarket or the drugstores. And changing those tubes requires rethinking everything. Firstly, we'd have to rethink how toothpaste is formulated, because right now it's up to 50% water and it's packed with some unnecessary ingredients. We'd have to rethink about how it's packaged as well, because big brands would have to redesign supply chains, rethink logistics, even change manufacturing equipment. We'd have to rethink how it's marketed and sold, because advertising would have to convince consumers that tablets are just as effective, if not better than paste. You could even go and buy a tub of toothpaste tablets that will last you an entire year. That is a completely different buying habit to what big beauty wants you to do right now. All of these points require breaking the habit of a lifetime. And as Axel said on the podcast last week, we are ingrained to use toothpaste from the moment that we're babies and our parents introduce it to us. It is actually breaking the habit of a lifetime to move away from that. But here's the real question. Should we wait for the industry to act, or should we make the switch ourselves? If we know that 1.5 billion toothpaste tubes go to waste every month, if we know that a tablet can work possibly better, then why are we still squeezing plastic tubes? So the truth is, change starts with us. Sometimes when we talk about sustainability, it feels overwhelming, like the problems are too big for an individual to solve. But toothpaste tablets are a perfect example of a simple, tangible switch that genuinely makes a difference. If we could eliminate even a fraction of those 1.5 billion toothpaste tubes wasted every single month, the impact would be massive. And the more people make the switch, the more brands will take notice. The more brands will invest in alternative solutions and eventually make sustainable oral care the new normal. So that's my challenge to you for this week. Try it. If you haven't already, look into toothpaste tablets. See what it's like to brush your teeth without a tube. The more, in fact, that we embrace sustainable alternatives, the harder it becomes for the industry to ignore. The beauty and personal care giants may not want to lead this shift, but if enough people demand it, they'll have no choice but to follow. So maybe it's time we start talking about those 1.5 billion toothpaste tubes, because if we don't, who will? Are you with me? Thank you for listening to my Green Beauty Opinions. Remember to visit the Formula Botanica website at formulabotanica.com to try our free online formulation course. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the Green Beauty Conversations podcast, please do so now in your favorite podcast app. Leave me a 5-star review if you enjoyed these discussions, and I'll be back soon with my next episode.